welcome to our Make and Take. I am looking forward to this session because we have been doing this session at a lot of different places. I kind of like to say like we took this on tour, and Greta and I started this at ISTE, and ever since then I'm just like I need to create and work with Greta more. And I love that because we were doing like the same session of empowering PBL in your classroom. And what kind of happened is as we were doing this, we were like, oh my gosh, we should do a make and take because I love a good make and take. I don't know about you, Greta.
Yes. And I have to say, I love creating with you. We start talking, maybe we are DMing each other on Twitter. And it's like, oh, we need to do this. And we start creating. So it's like a make and take can be fun. So we'll just create.
Yeah. So we are looking forward to creating with you if you're watching live or if you're going to be watching the recording. And if you are watching live, this will be recorded as well. So just pause it and go back at any point that you need. Also, there are a lot of links. Greta and I are oversharers. Surprise. And hopefully those of you that are watching are also oversharers. And we just kind of blow up this Padlet.
Yes. And if you watch our session before and you thought that we shared a lot, okay, I think we're going next level this time.
Yeah. So again, if you have not seen our session before, I'm going to throw that link in the speaker notes. And while I do that, Greta, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for those of our guests that might not know you?
Yes. Okay. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm a learning innovation leader and a fifth grade teacher. I need to get used to saying fifth grade. I was a sixth grade teacher last year. And I'm also, we work together as ISTE community leaders. So I don't know, we have a lot of time, a lot of fun creating together and finding any space we can to share what we do and what we love.
Yeah, and I'm Stephanie. I'm an instructional technology coach. And again, I love collaborating with Greta. I work with our grades 5 through 8 currently, and we're going to be talking about project-based learning in today's session. So the first thing, we just want you to kind of look at this graphic. And I love this graphic so much. I first saw it when I was listening to Angela Watson. I was listening to her YouTube video about teacher burnout. It was kind of like the topic. And I just loved this image and I immediately thought of PBL. And so first, I often think of innovation or different things that I'm trying in my classroom, like I'm building the car as I'm creating and working with my students. But it's not like that. What you need to think and kind of shape your mind is it's like you're upgrading. So maybe you're at a number 1 and you've got that roller skate. So the next upgrade is this scooter, right? And then the bike, and then the motorcycle, and then the car. Although I feel like a car would be before the motorcycle. I don't know. But as you're kind of going through innovation and trying new things, maybe you like PBL, take it bit sizes little by little and get better and better each time you do it. Another thing she compared this to was like a business. And when she was comparing this to a business, businesses often get feedback from their users. Well, our users are our students. And so as you're trying this new model of PBL, project-based learning, get feedback from your students. As you get feedbacks, take it back, take it in, and upgrade. Go back, try something new, get feedback, upgrade again. Again, you're not building the car as you go, although it might feel like that sometimes, but really you're just doing small things every single day to make upgrades and get better and better for your students.
Yes, I also watched the session. I loved it. Steph suggested I should watch it, and what I love is like how she talks about like the things we create. We need to see them like when we start. It's like the minimum viable MVP, minimum viable product, and go start with that. We don't have to wait till it's perfect. and modeling this for our students, I think it's super powerful. We are modeling a growth mindset, and at the same time we are getting uh, we are, taking off lots of stress and pressure. Sometimes I'm a perfectionist. I need to take the perfectionist type. I don't know what type I am yet, but when I'm creating things, I want them to be perfect, and it's like, no, what? Wait, I can just start with this, and I think it's important. Sometimes we are afraid of starting new things. I know starting to implement PBL can be stressful, so let's get this idea. We can start small and use our students' feedback in the process, and then make it better.
Yeah, completely agree. And I loved what Greta said as well to me in private. She was like, I'm not there yet. Right. And just kind of getting that yet added to your vocabulary can also help when you're trying new things.
Yes, the power of yet. It's so powerful.
Yeah, it definitely is. So we're going to kind of go through PBL. And as we kind of do this, we might stop and create or add to our Padlet. So the first question is, what am I teaching? The first thing you want to think about is, what are you teaching, and look over your standards. So for us today, I actually created a kind of a PBL project where kids are going to be creating a video game. So that is what their end goal is. And they're going to be using the design thinking process to kind of create this video game with lots of choice and voice, which we're going to get more into. So again, I went to those tech standards. I looked at what do our kids in fifth and sixth grade need to know. And then I worked with our tech teacher to kind of build out this game plan, which I'm going to share today. Greta, how do you kind of start with your standards?
Yes, I usually we follow. Well, I teach English to Spanish speakers, and we follow the Cambridge curriculum. So I usually focus on the skills my students need to develop. Since I teach English, and it's like the content standards for our national curriculum, that is not part of my job. That is what the Spanish teacher does. So I have this kind of freedom to focus on what content I will use. So sometimes we do projects based on history, science, so we have that freedom. And depending on the skills I want my students to develop, then we think about a topic, and then we say, okay, what I want them to create. I want them to be able to present, to talk about something. So based on that, then I go backwards and start designing the project. But the first thing I think of is what I want my students to be able to do.
Yeah, and having that backwards design, like Greta was kind of mentioning, is really helpful. But again, you got to know, what is that end goal? What do I want my students to really learn and focus on throughout this project? So that's the first thing. And then we just want to kind of quickly cover those 7 elements of PBL. And I just threw a Padlet link in the chat. So this link right here is in the chat. This is kind of your go-to shop, I'm going to say, for tonight.
The PBL hub. You have magic there.
Yes. So it looks like this once you log in. And all of those 7 areas are right up top. And again, if you want to go into more detail about those 7 areas, watch that video that we first shared in the chat right here. And it just walks through each of those different elements and gives you some ideas of what that looks like in your classroom.
Yes. What we are planning or mainly thought about sharing today is different ideas and strategies for each of these elements. And that's how that the Padlet is organized. We also added something on classroom management to help you with that. And we will be creating things as we talk, but we have already shared lots of ideas. So the idea is that by the end of the session, you say, okay, I want to start PBL in my class. Okay, you have everything there. So no excuses.
Yeah, and I think too, we'll be adding to this resource, hopefully, as we keep growing and keep getting feedback from our learners of, okay, let's do this time. And hey, did that work better or did I like that old way? I'm also going to add just like a resource area, and I'm going to add this video that we were talking about to the Padlet in case you're unfamiliar with kind of that beginning step. And feel free, if you have other resources about PBL, you just hit that plus sign and add those resources right on in. Again, we want to get as many resources as we can shared with each other.
Yes.
So
it's all about sharing.
Yeah. And so the first thing is kind of thinking about, how should I organize the project? Should you organize it in like a roadmap type of style where students have a clear start and end point, and then they're going to travel among the different points on this roadmap? Some teachers like to use slides, and they like to make them hyperlinked. So when you click here, it takes you to that other slide. When you click here, it takes you to that activity or that resource. So that could be an option. Others might use like a Google Doc where they have different steps laid out, and then students know exactly what to do. And then there's their kind of their choice board as well. So that's going to be kind of also what you want to think about when you're getting started with PBL. Is how do I manage it? What does that kind of look like? And how do I kind of organize all of those different resources? And so we added that under the classroom management tab. You can see those the roadmaps are right here. And then if you have another way that you organize it, please add it right on top of that area. And then think about, what supports will my students need throughout this project? Okay, so again, going back to, okay, what are they going to need to be successful? Because a lot of our students haven't developed a lot of these executive functioning skills that adults might have. And so we want to make sure that they are supported and that they are ready to kind of go when we are providing that support and new implementation in their learning. And then develop a procedure. So procedures can also help when implementing PBL. And the reason we're bringing these up is we did an expert webinar with ISTE. And one of the main questions that we had was research and, does PBL work? And I believe it does work if it's implemented correctly. But if you leave out these different procedures, PBL can fail really quickly. If you don't have ways for students to check in or get feedback or create like a psychological safe classroom where students are just angry and mean to each other, I don't think PBL has the same effect as a classroom that really is going through with all of these procedures and setting their classroom up for success.
Exactly. We need, first of all, a safe learning environment for our kids where they feel psychologically safe, and also where they know they can embrace mistakes and they respect each other, and they also feel like their teacher believes in them and they believe in their teacher. They feel safe, because I think, feedback moments, check-ins are so important during the PBL process. We cannot wait till the end to see what they've done and grade them, because part, I think, of what makes PBL so rich is this whole process, not just what they create at the end.
Yeah, and so just think about what happens when students finish. Do you have something for them to work on? Because if you don't, they're gonna misbehave. So again, if they need to use the bathroom and you're working with a small group of students on their project, is there a procedure for those kids to just go? Or what is that procedure? Teacher check-ins, when you need to meet with different groups, what does that look like? If students get stuck on something, what do they do? Do they research it? Do they come find you and ask for help? Do they ask a friend? So what does that look like in your classroom? What if a student is absent? What's your plan to get them caught up on the project? Grouping students, having maybe like a contract, providing maybe video directions for students so you can meet with small groups. What are you going to do when there's a substitute? Maybe explaining your model and procedures to some new student or a substitute, and then those SEL check-ins. So again, just think about your classroom and all of those, like, what if this happens? What if this happens? Or you're overthinking can kind of help you when it comes to PBL to make sure you have everything covered.
Yes, and for example, in the video Steph shared a while ago that it's already on the Padlet, we share different frameworks to use when students are working in groups. We also shared some grouping ideas. We shared the contract that students can sign or what sign or agree on before. Lots of resources that will help you really have the classroom engage in their project properly, and with moments for you to ask or engage in mini conferences with them or check-ins for feedback.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's go ahead. And again, you're going to want to pull up that Padlet if you haven't yet. It's in the chat. And it's also on this slide in the speaker notes. So if you are watching the recording and you're like, where is it? It's on slide 8 in the speaker notes. So once you log in and get on this Padlet, we're just going to kind of start, I think, at number 1 and just kind of talk about each of these. And we might do some creating along the way to get all the way to the end of this Padlet. How does that sound, Greta?
Perfect. I love it.
Okay. Let me get rid of some tabs so I don't get confused.
We have so many open tabs.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. Okay, so the first thing is challenging problem, right? So when it comes to challenging problem, you first kind of maybe want to develop an essential question. And so this resource right here is a PDF, and it just kind of walks through the question, the who, the actions, and for. And so what are you kind of thinking of other ways that we could get students or ourselves to develop these questions?
I was thinking maybe, material connected to the SDGs, where maybe teachers beforehand can explore a different SDG and then help the students come up with a challenging question or problem, or even students exploring the different SDGs. Um, I think that's important because not only we are engaging them in authentic learning, but maybe uh, their final product can be something that will help their community. We are inspiring them to take action, and I think that is super powerful.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to start. And can you explain those SDGs a little bit more for someone that might not be familiar?
Yes, they are the Sustainable Development Goals. The United Nations came up with them. These are like goals for 2030 for countries to engage on and be able to have like a better world. So these goals run from clean water and sanitation, life underwater, life on land, peace and justice, quality education. They are like, they cover basically everything we need in order to have a better world, a better life. um, there are 17 goals. I can add some material into the Padlet that I think is really interesting. And it's like each goal is described really deeply. And also it's kind of adapted if we want to share this with the kids. So let me add that into the Padlet.
Yeah, and I think that's a great place to start when it comes to some of these projects is getting the students to know, okay, what is going on in the world and how can we overcome some of these different ideas? And then I think also after you kind of look up those, a visible strategy we could use is like see, think, wonder, visual learning or thinking routines to help students reflect and identify those different challenging problems.
Yes, I love those.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that I saw that was on Twitter, and I'm going to just put it right here for right now. Let's see if it will open, was this thriller concept generator. But instead of the thriller concept generator, I was wondering if we could make like a PBL concept generator.
Wow. I
And
love that.
yeah, I thought it was really cool. I'll go ahead and share it with you. And so like maybe on here, if we're going back to the Padlet, this first resource is maybe that question, right? How? how can, how do, should, could. And so I thought that could be like the first part of this concept generator for students to kind of problem solve through those different resources and ideas.
I love that.
So let's go ahead. Do you want to go ahead and like maybe recreate something like this real quick?
Yes.
Okay. So I just shared it with your email. I'm going to put it on the Padlet. If those of you that are watching live want to watch, or if you're watching the recording, you can go back and access this resource. I'm going to leave the original design on here because I want to definitely give credit for that person, because that is really cool if you teach ELA, I feel like, as well.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we need a few boxes. So I just go up to the shapes tool and I grab I think rectangle, you think, for that first area?
Yes.
And then we'll do the questions first. So like, how can... Another thing, if you're getting started on PBL, is using ChatGPT. Can also help you create these questions if you're trying to brainstorm. And what I've been liking is if I don't like it, I'm like, please try again.
Yes.
And help me again, because I'm like, I'm not there yet.
We always joke like ChatGPT is our new bestie. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing all the things we can do.
Yeah. So right there, I've got those questions. I'm gonna go ahead. Oh, are we feeling word art, or should I just? Oh, I'm just gonna do a text box today. So then I'm gonna just do a text box, and I'm going to do PBL concept gen a reader. And then we always need a good color scheme, I feel like, too.
Yes.
What colors are you feeling today?
Greens,
Mm,
different shades.
yeah.
Darker green. And blues.
Oh, do you like this one? Oh, I kind of like this one. I don't know. Do you want bright blues or lighter? Or
The
this
soft
one?
ones. I love those.
Too.
Like, yeah.
Oh, which one?
Oh, sorry. The first one.
This one?
That one.
Okay. Okay. And then I like to throw the Padlet or the color Padlet on here. And then I like to highlight Toady Vincent called this the rubber band. So if you click and hold and then drag, you can grab all of those at once, go to that paint bucket. Google now has a new pick a custom color, which I am obsessed with. It makes my life so much easier. And
I'm still waiting for it.
you are? What the heck, Google?
I don't know. Maybe Argentina is not on their priority list.
Oh my gosh, that's not good.
No.
And then I'm able to kind of create that first area right there. And then I like to use this arrange tool, and I like to make sure everything is perfectly even in a line. All right, so then our next one, when we're going back to those questions, is the who. So I love a good flat icon, I feel like, for the who.
Yes.
So do you use flat icon, Greta?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I have the extension, is it?
Yeah.
Or complement installed. So I use it all the time.
So we'll do like, this can be maybe me. I don't know. We might go back and change these because we're going to be kind of making stuff kind of quickly as we create. Students.
And polish everything.
Yes. I like this one for students.
Yes, perfect.
And then we're going to do, let's do teachers. I kind of like that one. I don't know why. Okay. And then community. But again, I just like that generator idea to get students'
Yes.
voice and choice if you are allowing your students to have a say in this, because that is a huge component of PBL, is having that voice and choice.
Yes, it makes it more authentic and more meaningful.
Yep. All right. I'm just going to do 4 for now. But again, you can take this, customize it, and kind of remake for your own use or as you see needed. And then we go into that action. So that next action that we might have, I'm just going to do again 4 of them, I think, is copy those. That way I already have them. And we will do like build. We could create something. What else could we do? We could write or solve.
Yes.
Those like action words are the next step. And then we're going to, again, change these colors.
Yeah.
Okay. I think these
It
need to
looks
be
great.
black letters. Okay. And then finally, what is it for? So I think we might do icons again. I don't know.
Yes.
So class.
Community. Okay.
Oh, what'd you say? Community?
Yes.
Okay, get that one next. Go back here. See, I have too many tabs open. There's our classroom. Here's our community. We'll do this one. And then global. A nice little world.
Yeah. I like that one.
Oh, okay. So something like that is just a real quick way that you could help your students get buy-in pretty quickly. Another thing that you might want to consider is allowing your students, again, to kind of work with their partners as they're getting started in PBL and helping them achieve their goals. And I did not use any green, so I'm going to use some green real quick because
No, but it looks good.
I just realized, no, we got to use the green.
Okay. It matches with the earth.
Yeah, it does. Oh, it does. Okay. Yeah. But again, you can go in, edit this, but we just wanted to share that idea of one way that you could incorporate this into your writing. And then we have a message from the chat from Maria. The DQ 2.0 helps you practice writing, driving questions by framing initial words. Oh, okay.
We need to explore that.
I just Googled the DQ. Let's see what happens.
Huh.
Oh, I love this already. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna. I don't know if Maria has put that in the or in our Padlet yet. Let's see. I'm gonna definitely add this because it looks really, really cool. It's from PBL Works, which is a really great website for PBL. I don't know if I have a let's try that again. See, I love doing these because I learned so much from the community. Okay, right here, it says download resources files, I think. You cut it. Oh, look at that, Greta.
Yes.
And then it will create your question. I love that. Okay, I'm going to put this link on the Padlet. And if you have others, please add them to the Padlet so we can learn and grow from each other. I'm definitely downloading this, saving it to my drive right now before I forget to do that. So give me just a second. Okay. Thank you so much, Maria, for sharing that resource.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. So then our next category, and again, keep building out those challenging problem resources as you find them, is inquiry. And Greta shares one of my favorite activities to review sites and resources when it comes to inquiry and kind of evaluating them.
Do you want to show it, or we can create something?
Right here it is. I was like, there it is.
Yes, we added it to the Padlet. It's basically a lesson, a few lessons probably, where it starts with a video where you talk with the kids if everything you see online is real, it's funny because it's a hippo. It's a pet hippo. It's like, can you have a pet hippo? But in the video you can, not in real life. So it triggers great discussion. And then we talk a little bit about what we need to evaluate when we are evaluating different sources, such as credibility, bias. So we go over all those different aspects. And I teach my kids because I teach Spanish speakers. So I need to explain what bias means. I need to explain what credibility means. And then we came up with this guide. Um, it has some questions like author, who is responsible for writing this, what's the origin of the source. So we work on all those questions to evaluate the different sources. We talk about purpose. Is it for entertain, persuade, bias, and then of course credibility. We also talk a lot about, has the site been updated recently? And after all that information, we come up with our conclusion. So what I did is I did a few examples with them. For example, Tree Octopus is a fake website. So we went over it together. And then we went,
This is really
yes,
funny.
yes. There are a few examples. And then we went over some that are from Encyclopedia Britannica, I think. And then I tell them, it's your turn, over to you. So I usually start using this when we are working on a project that's called Making a Difference, where they explore different people who have made a difference in the world. So they need to go and research these people. So I ask them to evaluate at least two of those sources. And that's just the beginning. And then it's just an ongoing process throughout the year.
Yeah, such a great resource, especially because it allows students to really kind of work on those digital citizenship skills as well, to make sure that they are using reliable sources and it aligns with their research too.
Yes,
Right.
super important today with so many issues around fake information, to start teaching kids to identify sources, if they are fake or not.
Yeah,
I
and
think it's
yeah, I think so too. It's such a valuable resource and thing to kind of find. And what I was on Twitter this past week, I found this idea.
let's see.
So I was thinking for PBL, have you seen these, the wicked hydras?
No,
Oh
I
my
need
gosh.
to.
Okay. So you put a topic in like this circle, and then kids start asking questions about it, and then they like branch it and ask another question.
I
So
love it.
like let's see here. Like, see how they have young women? Why do they just need women? Why they need 75 women? Like, it just keeps going question to
Yes,
question to question to question to question to question. And I thought that could be really good to help kind of spark students' interest in the topic and to get them growing.
yes, and to help them like dig deeper into asking questions. Like sometimes, especially with younger kids, questions are like very basic. So teaching them, to ask good questions, I think this is wonderful.
Yeah, and so you don't have to prepare much, right? Like, all you have to do is kind of come up with the main topic, so right here. And then they just kind of build off of each other, and the questions just keep on growing and growing and growing. This could not just be for PBL, it could be for a lot of different topics.
Yeah.
And I just thought it looked really cool to get groups of students collaborating and just creating that culture as well in your classroom of like, yes, that's a great question. And then this one, and then this one, and then this one. And it just keeps growing and growing. And you're creating that safe environment for students to collaborate as well.
I love it. I will do this with my kids.
Yeah. I just found it on Twitter I saw Adam Moeller post the hashtag and I was like, what is this hashtag? And then I clicked on it and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the answer to a lot of things that can just grab those students' interest right away. And all you have to do is write that one word right in the middle. And then you could have, I feel like, some posters around your room. This one's a Great Gatsby, so they've got all the different characters. And then students could just kind of do a gallery walk and write on each of these different boards or different pieces of paper around your classroom, set a timer, and then they come back to their seat. And then you can use those questions to help with your lesson.
Amazing.
So I'm going to
I need that. Yes, share it there.
I think I'm just going to add the Twitter link here, because really, when I do this activity, I might use a Jamboard. But honestly, I think I might just use it on a piece of poster paper. So there's not much you need to get ready. You could do a blank slide with the word if you wanted to, but I'm just going to post that resource in there for today.
Yes.
And then I saw this as well on Twitter today, actually. And I thought it was just kind of fun. It was called crap. My son, AJ, he's 3, and he's at the poop stage. Like, everything is just funny to it for some reason, he thinks. So I don't know if that's why this grabbed my attention as well. But I liked here that they had CRAAP.
Yes.
And then they had questions for students to remember. And I just thought, crap, like, that's easy for kids to remember. Is this resource crap?
When I was designing the guidelines for my class, I found crap, and I kind of used some inspiration.
Yeah.
I didn't use an acronym, but I basically analyzed some of the things they were using and adapted the language a little bit for my students. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, so now we're going to go on to the next area on the Padlet. And again, please keep adding to 1 and 2. Pause the video if you need to. If you're like, oh, I feel really inspired right now, pause it, come back, and keep creating with us. So this next one is kind of getting your students to really kind of go back to why, right? Why are we doing this? I used to think this, now I think that. I'm trying to think, do you want to share which one do you think would be great to share? What's this one? Oh, the 3 whys. Do you want to do the thin slides or the visible thinking one? Oh, you're muted. Greta, you're muted, so I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good. I was like, you're talking.
I was talking to myself. No, I was thinking, that visible thinking routine, circles of action.
Okay.
What can I do to contribute, or how can this contribute in my inner circle, in my community, in the world? It's kind of like the 3 whys. But it helps kids, see the problem through different lens, and at the same time how meaningful it is for them, or how meaningful it can be for their community, for the world.
All right. So for this activity, I'm thinking circles. Are you?
Yes.
So I always love to go to Canva. We used Google Slides last time, and I'm just going to type in circle because I feel like they've got,
well, we are doing circles, but I was thinking maybe on a Padlet, they can share like inner circle.
Yeah. Community, world.
Yeah.
I was thinking like a circle in a circle.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if Padlet's going to know what I'm talking about. Like,
no.
That doesn't know what I'm talking about. Like how you have those 2 circles and it like just keeps getting, like larger and larger. I just have to make it. So,
yes.
So if I go here to shapes and then I go to circle, like here's the world, maybe. Oh my gosh. Yep. Maybe might need to do another slide. There we go.
Yep.
Kind of. And then I would do another circle and make it just a little bit smaller. And then maybe like a really small circle. That's what I was thinking when you said this stuff.
Yes, I
This
like it. I didn't think about it that way,
that's what I heard like I was hearing
but I
it.
really like it because then we can put like in the smaller circle us, like
Mm-hmm.
we are so small compared to.
Um, and I think sometimes kids think the world's about them, right? Like
Yes.
that's just where they are cognitively in their development. Oh, so that can be sometimes
Yes.
challenging, right? There we go.
Yes, because they think that what's happening to them is like the world. So
Yeah.
maybe it helps raise awareness
Mm-hmm.
that we are just something small.
And I feel like we need to change this layout. So I go to page setup to change that layout. Custom, I'm going to change this to 8 by 11.5. And now I got to kind of resize it. There we go. Okay. So and again, we want to hear your ideas for what activities you have for all of these different um, parts of the PBL cycle. All right, so there's one.
Yeah, I can add. Do you want me to add?
Yeah, you want to do the last one, the world one, and I'll do
Okay.
this one, and then I'll
Yep.
look for the color palette. I
Yes.
feel like you gotta have a good color palette, like always.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe we need to do arrows.
Oh,
You know what I mean? I
yes.
don't know.
Yeah.
All right. See something like that. I don't know. It might need fixed a little bit.
It's okay. Then we can like we are just sharing the idea. Then we can tweak
Yeah.
it out and make it nicer.
Okay. I feel like it's got to be earthy. We're going with like greens and blues
Yes.
tonight. I don't.
Yes.
Sorry, people. I love that blue though.
Yes.
Okay, and this
And
green.
lime green. Ah, yes. There.
No, this is nice.
Yes.
And then I think like an earthy,
Yes.
something like that maybe. I'm not in love with this,
No.
but it's a
But
start.
yes. Then we'll make something and we'll share it on Twitter.
Yeah. Or someone else, feel free to up our
Yes.
designs as well.
Maybe you can design that and share it on the Padlet with us.
Yes. All right, I'm going to throw this one right in the Padlet as well, just in case you're interested in making a copy and making it a ton better.
Yes.
Okay. But I just love those questions, right? Like it helps students really focus on, okay, this is my problem, but to the world, this is how
Yes.
many people it affects, or this is what that might look like to them.
Yes, I agree. And I also like the 3 Ys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the 3 Ys here. Did we add it?
Yeah, it's down at the bottom right here.
Oh,
This one.
yeah. I think that is really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Because after these routines, kids kind of start getting the idea or feeling how authentic the project is or can be. So
And then I know you talked about the big fan. Can you explain the big fan as well?
oh yes, that I love it. I use it as an exit ticket, but I think it can also be connected to authenticity. And I think it's a really good exit ticket for younger kids because it's this idea of I'm a big fan of something, or I'm not a big fan of this. So like if they watch a video about, I don't know, a country that has poor access to clean water and sanitation and all its consequences, then they have to reflect, okay, what were you like? Were you a fan of this or not? Why? Um, what were you a big fan of? Maybe on that video you see people who have helped, so they can say, okay, I'm a big fan of people helping each other. I wasn't a big fan of kids not being able to go to school because they need to go and look for water every day. So it's a way to develop. Oh, I love that. It's a way for kids to also realize how authentic something it is for them. And the questions are a bit easier and also fun, fun. um, so yeah.
Right, there's like I forget, I think it's called Varsity. No. There's
We
like
should put my soccer team there.
oh yeah, go ahead.
No,
The kids would probably love that.
I'm just kidding. But, my soccer team is not very popular around the world, so I shouldn't say that. But
I think it's called Graduate. There it is. That's the one I want.
I like it. Maybe we could add some boxes. What weren't you a big fan of?
Yeah, you're reading my mind. Oh, I didn't share this with you.
I was just looking for the link.
Oh, didn't do it.
Nope.
Here it comes. I was like, why don't you add those boxes? Because you're not.
There it go.
Over here.
I love these boxes. Oh, I use the other ones
Oh,
that
yeah.
have the rounded edges.
Yep.
Oops.
Nope. I like where you're going with this.
Okay.
I'm like obsessed right now with let's see here. The drop shadow.
I was going to say.
As well. All right.
Maybe we could have two boxes. What were you a big fan of? And oops.
Okay. Oop. Deleted too much.
Wait, maybe we can copy this one. Oh no, you're ready. I reduced the font size to 16.
Thank you.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. And we could add some icons here, like tiny icons inside the boxes later.
Yep, I love that idea. But yeah, this is a really good one, either for an extra ticket or to use maybe with some little students, your younger ones. I like can't stop now.
It's addictive. I have a thing. I love creating.
I do too. I feel like we've created a lot and it hasn't even been an hour yet.
Yes.
There we go. That looks fantastic.
I love it.
Lower this one. Okay. I'm a big fan of it. All right. I'm going to throw this on the Padlet. So again, if you are create alongside with us. All right. So now we're going to go to voice and choice. So go ahead.
I love voice and choice. I love choice boards. I have an issue with choice boards.
Yes, choice boards are the best. So Greta made this choice board. If you want to explain it real quick.
Yep. Okay, that one, we used it for when kids worked on myths and they had to create either a movie or a role play. And then we gave them like storytelling. They could tell the story, or they could create a podcast. If they weren't brave enough to stand in front of the class and share their myths, okay, they could create a podcast. So what I made sure of was that every kid's like need would be there. Like I thought of the kids who are good at writing, or the ones who were too shy to speak, so we focused on writing, or the kids that like to do digital stuff, or the ones that are more paper. So we created like ebooks. We also thought about the kids who like to do crafts, and we thought about a puppet show. We thought about kids who love music, so they could come create a song with their myth. So we thought about all the different possibilities, and kids chose what best suit their learner needs. And I think that is super important. Not only makes the project more authentic for them, but if they know they can share their learning in the way that best suits them, I think it helps them feel more relaxed at the same time, and they are not stressed out about, oh, I will have to write and I'm not ready to write. And again, my goal here wasn't to work on on writing. Probably was to explore the different features a myth has. So whenever I create a choice board, I make sure that my learning goals are there, and depending on the learning goal, there are some possibilities or different possibilities. So I think that is really important to take into account.
Yeah, and choice boards are so great, but I do know that some students, when you give them like 9 choices, they're just like, I don't know where to
Yeah.
start, right? Like that's somehow I feel too. I'm like choice fatigued, I think is what it is.
Yes.
So we shared this like a couple years, maybe a year ago. This or that board.
I love those.
Yeah, and I know you shared some examples in here. So this is like the overload examples of just different templates and ideas of how to create these. So I'm going to throw that in there. But I think like a quick entrance ticket where I can just quickly give some students voice and choice is also a quick win that you're able to do in your classroom. So let's see here. I'm going to just do this one right here. So I'm going to make a copy, just this slide. And I'm going to do PBL. Actually, I'm lying. I'm just going to do it right in here. Okay, so I'm going to move it up to the top, though. So right here on slide 2, Greta, I'll send this to you. There you go. And you probably already have it, but I'm just going to send it to you anyway.
Okay. Okay.
So this or that. So right when students walk in the classroom, I might have them do this as an entrance ticket. And so the first thing is just maybe I'm going to put feedback. Do they want feedback today from Meet with Me? Or do they want to send and receive feedback from a peer? Or do they want me to type up their feedback? Maybe they don't want a conference with me. So I might say like a paper feedback. And again, right here, I'm just giving them a quick choice where students can either read my feedback that is maybe typed up or a video feedback, or they could conference with me to get that feedback as well. But giving them some voice over what they want can help with that buy-in too. And then I'm going to do like group work. Maybe they're having a really rough day and they don't want to work with their group, so they want to work individually. Maybe they want to work with their group. And so if they want to work individually, maybe I look at their task and I say, okay, you do this part, you do this part, you do this part, and let's meet the last 5 minutes and collaborate. Or I say, let's all do it all together. And again, I might not give them that choice every single day, but I think there is time where I might be able to. And then I might just put like part of the project, maybe they still need to research, or are they ready to develop their project?
I love that.
So just a quick way, students will come in the first 5 minutes. I might have this printed like on a little sheet of paper. And then I would just tell the students, okay, circle what you want and let's go from there.
I think we should add this slide into the classroom management
area.
space into in the Padlet. It's wonderful. I really like it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, and we can change the colors if we want. I feel like we could do greens and blues again. I really like this one. Let's do this one now.
Yes.
And again, getting your students to really just buy in, I think, can help out a ton.
Yes. And it gives you lots of information. It
Yeah.
helps you, get more organized.
Yes, for sure. I don't know why my boxes aren't even, but they're really bothering me. Not gonna lie about it. Like, I don't know what's going on with this box right here. I don't know if a font is off or what is going on. All right. And then we'll do this color. Oh, not there though.
Not there.
And then I'll do this one. And I think too, you could also do a Pear Deck with this. You could add Pear Deck right on top.
Oh, you're right.
You could have your students just quickly circle using the drawing tool.
I love that. Yes.
Oh, I did the
I
wrong.
love Pear Deck.
Okay. We're almost there. I can't believe how much we've created in such a short amount of time. Okay. There we go. So something like that.
I love it. It looks great. I just added 2 choice words.
Yeah.
That I totally stole from you, the idea from your reading choice boards. What I like about these is that it gives the kids few choices, and you assign roles like filmmaker, journalist, songwriter, designer. And here again, you are focusing on all the different learning preferences they might have, like create a movie, write an article, write a song, or design an infographic. In this case, this one is standard, so like create a movie to share your learning. We left there the Canva link in case you want to adapt it. And then we have one that is focused on SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. And here's like, you are an advertising, create a video commercial to raise awareness of the importance of safe water, sanitation, and clean access to clean water and sanitation. That's the SDG. And then you can be a journalist, write an article to talk about the importance of achieving universal and equitable access, or a designer, an infographic again, or a politician. Yes, give a campaign speech talking about the topic. So again, I don't know, Steph, if we have your reading choice boards around, because you have so many different ideas there. You just can pick 3 or 4 for your choice board.
Yeah, I love a good choice board. They're fantastic and just easy to organize and allow your students some choice and voice in what they're learning.
Yep.
And then the next category is reflection. So was it this one that you updated?
Yes, but not focused on reflection on the learning, but more on reflection on themselves as learners. This is more a reflection, rock, paper, scissors, to reflect on what they have learned. The rock, what is the hardest part of the topic? Paper, what thing you should definitely remember. So it's like you write it down on paper. And scissors, what should be removed or cut out? For example, my students used this for when they were doing research on SDG 6. So most of their scissors was unfair laws or kids not being able to go to school. That is the kind of things they would like to remove. um, so I think it's kids like it. They can also, share their reflection. They can write it down. They can create a video. They can record audio with mode and insert it in the slide. So again, choice for how they are going to share their reflection and reflecting.
Yeah, I love it. And then I know you had another idea about using triangle, circle, square. And
Yes.
so I love this resource that you kind of shared. If you want to talk about that as well.
Yes, triangle is I'm sorry. What are three important ideas or takeaways you have from your learning? Square is what is something that kind of lines up or with your thinking, something you agree with, and circle, something that is confusing and is still, going on in your mind about it. Again, choice on how they share their learning, their answers. I like giving my students slides, but sometimes they come up with Canva. They want to do it on paper. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I love that resource too. Because again, I like to do this as a think, pair, share too, like where students first think of like their own three important ideas, and then we come together and we share everybody's like three main ideas, or at least they share one of their favorite out of the three, and then talking about what's squared away with them and what's circling in their head. So this is a great activity for PBL, but also for learning in general.
Yes.
Which then kind of brings us to our number 6, which is those critiques and revisions. And we love the tag feedback that Greta has shared. We also have like a template on giving feedback. But I was just listening to a podcast, and they were talking about this tuning protocol. So I went ahead and made this template ahead of time because I was so excited about it. And what he was saying is, I think it was like Trevor Murr, I think is his last name. You present your project, and when students are presenting their project, there's no questions, no comments. They are just presenting their project. Then after they present, the people that were watching, the audience that were watching the product, give feedback on the product, and they're talking, but the presenters are acting like they're a fly on the wall. They can't say anything. They can't interrupt. They can't say why they did something. They just have to listen. And then what happens after that is this reflection. And so what feedback will we use and not use? And they think about, okay, based on what they liked and what they wondered, what are we going to use in our final product to turn that in?
I love it.
Yeah, and I just liked his protocol. And then there's some notes down here from the podcast, and he said one thing that I really loved is we need to give students protocols now so they learn, but one day they're not going to have protocols. And I just love that because we have to train them, because when they do get into the work field, they're not going to have all of these different protocols or all these set inserters. They're just going to have to know how to do it. But it's our job to really focus and train our students on these different ways to give feedback and take feedback.
Yes.
Because feedback is
It's so
hard.
important. Yes.
I mean, I was
And
just telling Greta, I was like, I am struggling with some feedback right now. And she's like, you're amazing. And I'm like, but it hurt. Like, just hearing some feedback, I was like, oh, it hurt.
yeah, it, it's also important, to help students and us develop a growth mindset to accept feedback. It's not easy because sometimes we see it as like the biggest failure. Oh, I messed up. It's terrible. And maybe it's not, it's something, maybe it reminds me of what we were talking at the beginning. Okay, I can make it better.
Yeah.
Um, and learn from that. It's not easy, it's hard, but we need to start practicing that and model it with our students so that they can also accept feedback.
Yeah. And this is
Because
another
of
example
growth.
that Greta just made that I love, and I've seen this protocol a lot, is this glows and grows. So take it away, Greta.
Okay, glows and grows. I always say it's my baby. Wherever I go, I bring glows and grows with me. It's a reflection to reflect on what you're good at and what you're proud of for your glows, and your growth, what you would like to improve, what you would like to get better at. And I do this ongoing with my students, like right after every project. We do one at the beginning of the year, and it's amazing to see as the year goes by how some grows become glows. um, and it's really powerful. I was thinking, the other day, what if we added, like, there, like we have the kids glows and grows, but also as teachers giving them the feedback glows and grows, like another box. I need to design that. Because
Yes, you do.
yeah, I will. um because I also use it when I give them the rubric we are going to work on. When I give back my feedback, I also ask them to go over the rubric, use my feedback, use their classmates' feedback, and highlight their glows and grows. Um, so they highlight in green their grows and their glows in yellow. I think that's it's glows and grows is like a big thing in my classroom. um, so I think I'm gonna add the feedback, the teacher feedback.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's a great idea. All right. And then there's one more activity that I was listening to. We're like on a feedback kick, so apologize for the overshares in this area. But I was listening to another podcast that talked about the praise prism. And this was a really cool idea that I realized a lot of people don't do this week as I was like reflecting on this podcast. And what it is you when you receive feedback, give it back out and magnifies it, like helps magnifies it. So if Greta tells me, Stephanie, I really like how you presented that PBL resource on glows and grows, she would then maybe say, well, Stephanie, or she would say like, Stephanie, I really liked that resource that you shared or whatever. So you're like uplifting the person even though they just uplifted you. So I just kind of like this idea. So I thought this could be another great way for students to build that culture. So they would receive praise. That's like the first step. And then step number 2 is they would give it back.
oh,
Does that kind of make sense? I don't know
yeah,
if I explained that correctly. um, so pretty simple way, but again, it's just getting kind of that gratitude out there. And it was like maybe they're talking about their group work. And so maybe student A did a really good job presenting information, but so then student B says, hey, student A, you did really great job presenting this information. Student B would say, well, you did a really good job researching it. And so you're just kind of praising it, but you're giving it back to that student. And I just think that might be good for some of the group work activities, to build that culture again in your classroom and to make sure that every single student feels a part of your classroom. So
yes, I think it's amazing.
yeah, I'll share that link as well in the Padlet.
Yep.
All right, which brings us to number 7, that public product. We provided some rubrics in here, and we also provided like that final project choice board. I like to use this with just adults, and then they kind of take these activities and create another choice board for their students. Do you want to talk about your rubric real quick?
Yeah, well, I kind of mentioned it. Oh, this one is not highlighted. Okay, we usually add I think it's on the PBL empowering slides.
Okay.
But it's okay, no worries. We can highlight the no, because we can add no, because it's a screenshot, it's not text. um we usually give them images connected to the criteria, like exceeds expectations, adequate, beginning, non-observable, to help them, always image and words is more powerful than just the words, the dual code theory. So it helps them decode and understand a bit better what we expect from them. We go over the rubric, we explore it before we start the project, and we sometimes go back to it when we are having these check-ins throughout PBL. So where they are, if I see, for example, that their final product lacks some things, I go back to the rubric, let's read it together, what do you think it's missing? So it's there, it's a really good tool for us, to give feedback, but for them as a reference. And then here is where they highlight, after they get feedback, um, they highlight in green their grows, in yellow their glows.
Yeah, and I just think before your students kind of get that feedback, they go in and they do that self-evaluation, can just really help bring out the project to make sure that they covered everything and they can kind of do a quick check.
Yes.
So great idea of just kind of having the students first go through. And then finally, we want to see some finished products or projects on your way. So we put in some examples that we have. Greta put in some tweets that she had as well. When it comes
That were my students, 2019, I think it was. Yes, they came up with a song. We did a project on life on land, SDG 14, and they came up with the lyrics. Our music teacher helped us with the music, and it's theirs. The sounds at the beginning of the songs was also their idea. It's their voices doing the like animal noises, and it's amazing. If you get the chance to listen to it, you'll see. I'm so proud. And I also have, I didn't add them, I'm going to add them. I did with my second graders something connected with SDG 15, life underwater. They came up with we have these solidarity fairs at school where everybody brings something to, they bake, for example, brownies, or they design or create crafts, and they sell them for like very little amount of money, but we use that money to help another school. And they said we have to bring under the sea things, or things connected with sea animals out in the ocean, for the solidarity fair, to so we teach everybody at school that we need to protect our oceans. And then they came up with a video campaign. They were so little, like second graders, but they were able to do it. I'm going to share those links because I think it's really, I love that group.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun and just amazing to see what the kids create. So if you're able to share those examples, please add them onto the Padlet. That way just people can get some ideas of different ways to kind of create, or what student examples could look like. And then I just shared this one that I've been working on today. Students are going to design a video game. And so with that video game, I kind of talked about it at the beginning, is we talked about how they're going to be doing it, but then we're taking them through that design thinking process and allowing them to kind of see and kind of have different pros and cons of different games. They're defining their problem. They're creating with Crazy Eights. After they do that, they're going to go into another roadmap where they actually create their game. And then after that, they're going to test and beta test to get feedback. And we're using that tuning protocol, but we called it beta test instead since it's more video gamey. But students are going to go through this process to brainstorm, research, get their product ready, and then they're actually going to create and get feedback on their video game. So that is also shared in this resource as well. Okay, that was a lot.
Yes.
And we want you to add. to this a lot of resources. That way we can learn from you and you can learn from us and we can learn as a community together. So please come in, please add all of your resources to this. If you have classroom management things where students are able to have some protocols or some procedures in place to make sure PBL runs smoothly, because that's the biggest thing I see. If students have maybe not protocols in place, they might go a little crazy. So sometimes you got to ring them in with just some structure of, hey, you need to do this and this and this. And all of those different ideas and resources are in here for you. And if you need help, reach out to Greta and I. We're happy to work with you and collaborate and brain dump.
Yes. And we like creating, so we can create together.
Yeah. Any other last thoughts on PBL?
No, I think it's if some teacher or someone here is like, I want to try this, but I don't know, you should. And I always say, don't be afraid. Like, if it doesn't work at first, doesn't matter, it's going to start working. As whenever we start doing something, it doesn't run smoothly right from the beginning. It's a process. Here in the Padlet, we are sharing lots of classroom management ideas too that will help you. But don't let that fear stop you from doing this, because you will see that the engagement, it, I mean, it's such more meaningful for students to learn this way. Whenever we do PBL, it's like my students' faces are like, you see them so engaged and happy, and I think that's so worth it.
Yeah, so give it a go, give it a try. And don't forget that you can get feedback from your students and then upgrade. It doesn't all have to happen all at once. And maybe you just want to dip your toes in. And so just start with maybe one of these activities where you're like, I just want to start with a choice word. Start there. Don't start with a whole project. Maybe just have a couple choices for your kids to pick. Or maybe you start with one of these reflection questions for something you're teaching whole group, and you just start small and then upgrade to get to that car. So we want to thank you for joining us. And again, if you need anything, please reach out.
Mel is there. Hi, Mel.
Oh, Mel. We're huge Mel fans. Yeah, it's been a while, Mel. We had I had a baby. Who's adorable.
Yes.
Yes. You'll have to go back and rewatch, pause as you are watching. But get inspired and create a PBL lesson for whatever you're teaching. And again, if you need help, please reach out to either of us. We're more than likely happy to support you in any way that we can. All right. Thanks for joining us.